Welcome to NEK VT Rocks. My guest today is Tracy Zschau. Tracy is the Executive Director of Vermont Land Trust, or something like that.
Conservation Director.
Conservation Director.
Not in charge of the whole thing. I'll get in trouble if I claim that.
Okay, Vermont Land Trust. And she's currently involved in a project that's near and dear to all of us, Bluffside Farm. Tell us what's happening.
Oh, great. Thank you. So Vermont Land Trust, maybe I'll just back up and say who we are.
Sure.
Briefly. So we are a nonprofit land conservation organization. We work across the whole state of Vermont. We just celebrated our 40th anniversary this past summer. And we have folks located in regional offices around the state. We work with individuals, communities, other nonprofits, sometimes the state, on land conservation projects with an eye towards protecting the working lands of Vermont, the productive farms, the working forests, but also important community lands that really bring a sense of place, a sense of community, history, recreation in an individual community. And we sometimes own land, actually rarely, but in the case of here in Newport City, we are serving as interim owners of a parcel of land. We call it Bluffside Farm. The Scott, many people know it as the former Scott Farm. The Scott family owned it.
Or just Bluff Farm.
Or Bluff Farm.
It gets called all of the above.
Yeah, so the Scott family owned it for many years. Yeah. We purchased the farm in December of 2015, so just about 2 years ago, from Dan Scott. And the idea was that we would serve as an interim owner. And that was because the farm was going to foreclosure auction.
Right.
And it was an opportunity to slow things down. And based on community input we got leading up to that, we felt like there could be some really interesting things that could happen with the land. Really because of its location, its size, and what's there. It's a really pretty incredible place that had been very well taken care of by the Scott family for many generations. So we bought the farm, we started getting people out on it, and organized a bunch of tours back in 2016.
Right in the dead of winter, we remember it well.
Not a great time to get out there, but people, the first tour, over 80 people came.
It was packed, I know, it was wonderful.
It was really exciting to see the interest. It hadn't really been open to the public before, and so it was an opportunity to see what's there. So we started some tours. We also worked with NVDA, the Regional Planning and Economic Development Organization, and they helped us organize a series of public meetings where we really asked people,
what do you want?
What do you want? Yeah, exactly. Right. I think we called it Reimagining Bluffside Farm. Coming out of those meetings, we had some pretty clear kind of topics or goals that we heard people prioritizing for the property. And maybe just backing up, Bluffside Farm is 129 acres. It has about a mile of frontage on Lake Memphremagog, which is lake proper and also Scotts Cove.
Right.
It has a natural sandy beach that's considered a statewide natural heritage site because it's natural sandy beaches are really rare in Vermont. And working ag land, a farmstead, and a small sugar bush, and also productive forest land.
Right.
And so what we heard was that keeping an aspect of the property, a working farm, was important, but that actually a more outward-facing farm, or a farm more closely connected with the community. So whether that's through things that are grown there and sold locally, or programming that connected people to the land. We also heard that the sensitive areas of the property were important to protect. And I think right now, as water quality is really front and center, Lake Champlain, but also Lake Memphremagog, recognizing that what we did there could impact water quality is important. There's also a bald eagle, two bald eagles that nest in the center of the property and have fledged young. Both years we've lived there, we've owned the place, but at least a couple years before that as well.
Right. There were some fabulous photos this year that were posted.
Yeah, we were really lucky. Some local wildlife photographers took amazing pictures. We also know that there's archaeological significance there, that this property was used by the Abenaki. Also some interesting, more recent historical use. There's the remains of an old stagecoach bridge that brought people from Prouty Beachside to the farm, to a horse-powered ferry that left from the point. So And there's rumors of Rogers Rangers camping there. There's all sorts of interesting things. And then the third thing we heard was that recreation and expanding recreational opportunities, given the really limited public access there is to the lake in Newport. And also given where this property sits. It sits between Prouty Beach and the BB Spur Rail Trail.
Right.
And people started to see, and it was really exciting to hear people talk about what we might be able to do to better connect what's already here as public lands, but also really expand on that. So that's a little history, and we have really focused on that third goal as something that we're immediately working on. And we started working on it, really soon after those public meetings, which is the idea that we could connect this property to Prouty Beach with a 400-foot bridge boardwalk.
Yeah.
Really expand on the access to the lake from there. But from that connection, if we built a mile of bike trail, we could connect the BB Spur Rail Trail to Prouty Beach to the downtown rec path and really make, in the end, a 7-mile waterfront recreation corridor.
Which would be fabulous.
That goes to the Canadian border, and there's rec trails immediately across the border as well. So that's been a big focus of our work. There's other things going on there too, but that's been a big focus because building a bridge is not a small endeavor, and it's our initial pre-engineering cost estimates. It's a significant infrastructure project, but we've started to raise the money. There's a lot of interest from federal and state funders in supporting it, and so that's really exciting.
And it's not going to be the old Stagecoach Bridge,
No.
I assume. That would be pretty crazy.
Yes. Yeah, although that's where we got the idea.
I
but
know.
No, those pilings will stay. They're probably historic themselves.
They are. They're fabulous.
And they're beautiful. They really are beautiful. No, and really closer to the mouth of the cove.
Yeah.
There's a lot of engineering and permitting work that will be required. So we're at the early stages. But we felt like it was important to first see, can we raise the money?
Right.
And we're starting to see that we think we can. And so more community engagement around this, more planning, more, and obviously permitting will be required, but we really felt like we needed to start raising the money.
Is there a chance for that to be done next year?
It wouldn't be completed.
Yeah.
We actually have some time pressures on raising the funds because in August of this year, we received a really large grant, federal grant from the Northern Borders Regional Commission, which is a federal funding source that funds things in the northern parts of New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine.
Right.
And they gave us a $425,000 grant, largest grant in their history in Vermont, because I think they saw the potential.
Yeah.
They're really focused on economic development and in the northern counties.
We need it.
Yes, and recognize that, and across the state and region, the power of recreation to be a driver for economic development is really being recognized. The governor recently issued an executive order in his first year in office. It's called the Vermont Outdoor Recreation Economic Collaborative, and it's meant to really focus on strengthening the connections and the investments in Vermont between outdoor recreation and the economy.
Great.
Yeah, so we feel like Newport's and our involvement here
too.
It definitely does. It definitely does, giving people more opportunities.
Yeah.
AARP actually gave us some funds early on because expanding recreation in Newport, making Newport more walkable, is part of their goals as well.
And we're an age-friendly community, which is important because this is something that's for all ages.
Yeah, the way we've designed the path and the way we're fundraising, and part of the cost is that having it be fully handicap accessible, ADA accessible, is a goal. And because that means that everybody can use it, and that's an important goal of ours.
Goal.
It is a big goal. Yeah.
Because there's walking paths on the farm right now.
Yes.
But they're certainly not ADA accessible.
So this would be really, when you go on the BB Spur Rail Trail, that's what we would put along the edge of the farm. Just one trail. There is a goal to also add and better design some additional walking paths along the lake, along the cove. And we have a great application in right now that if we get it, we would have a crew out there this summer to do some of that, just to make sure that if more people are using it, things like erosion and water are protected.
Yeah. What else?
What else?
If that isn't enough.
Yeah, so it's a productive farm,
Yeah.
and we chose when we purchased it to continue the ag lease. There's, I think, about 40 acres of hay
Right.
land, and we continued the lease with the leasing dairy farmer, who is doing a wonderful job,
Yes.
is a really great steward, and so he's continuing to hay the fields. We also had him brush hog some of the pastures to kind of keep them available and productive, although we don't have animals there now.
Right.
That's a goal, to eventually pasture animals there during our
That would be
ownership.
fabulous.
It would just keep the land in better shape going forward. But a portion of the hay land, about an acre, this past summer was taken out of hay, put into vegetables in a partnership with the Vermont Youth Conservation Corps.
Right. Molly, who ran that program, and one of the kids who
Yeah.
was a participant, came on this show.
I watched it. It was
they
great.
Were so great.
They were wonderful. It was a really great experience
Yeah.
for Vermont Land Trust. I believe for VYCC. I think it was successful, and it'll be something that we continue.
The community absolutely loved it.
This is great.
Yeah.
This is great.
And if it can expand, that would be even more fabulous.
Yes, yes. So we continue to talk and are starting to actually plan for next
Great.
spring, so that it kind of came together late last year, so there was a lot of, you know, trying things out, and so we're excited to have more time to really plan it.
Yeah. And it was
for next
such a
year.
wet summer.
Yeah.
But what they managed to grow was phenomenal because so many of us lost our gardens.
Yeah, it's great soil.
Yeah.
And it's well-drained soil,
Yes.
so it held up. Yeah. We are also developing a number of community partnerships and trying to find other ways to use the farm and the resources there to further goals of some of Newport's nonprofits and community groups.
So what else have you got?
So what else have we got?
What's coming up?
So we're doing a lot with North Country High School and Career
Yeah.
Center, and that's been really fun. The forestry program there and the ag program there have both been bringing students. The forestry program's been bringing students since the first winter Vermont Land Trust owned the farm. The ag program started coming this fall. They're actually helping us do an assessment of the sugar bush. We had not kept the sugar bush in production, but we wanted to have an assessment of it and what would be a good plan going forward. So we expect to have that sometime early next year.
Okay, so there won't be a sugar bush this year, this
Probably
coming
not.
season.
Probably not.
That was
You
a
never
loss.
know.
That would be
Yeah.
wonderful. That was a loss for the community.
Yeah.
Because people were just starting to getting involved with that. It was
Yeah.
doing well.
Yeah, it would be great.
Yeah.
The sugar house doesn't have any equipment in it right now.
Yeah.
But we're continuing to look at that.
Great.
And we're actually talking with North Country High School about other classes, other students who might be able to do either independent projects or learning on the property. And we're really excited about strengthening that. I think it'll be a great partnership.
Yeah,
and
that's fabulous.
That's been really fun. Magog Watershed Association has been a great partner, and we, Vermont Land Trust moved our office to the farm this past spring. We decided that having us on site more often would be a benefit to the farm and being around, and we are stewards of 130 acres, and that's been really great. We had a little extra space in the office, so we offered it to Men from Magog Watershed Association and their first staff person, and that's going well. So we have more activity going on.
It also lets you get to know the community around you.
Yeah.
Which is good.
It's great. I run into people at the post office.
Yeah.
I live down in St. Johnsbury. Other staff live in Orleans County. But being here in the community is really helping us, because our goal is to continue to learn both about the property, but also about Newport's goals, and continue to think creatively about how this property could benefit Newport.
And if you talk to the people, the community members, they have some great ideas.
Yeah, there's great ideas. And I think for now, Vermont Land Trust really wants to remain the owner to really get those recreation links in place. We feel that as a nonprofit owner whose mission is about public access, that we are the ones to get those in place, because when the property eventually goes back into private ownership of some sort, it's a lot to ask of a private owner to put those things in place. Once they're in place and we have really solid plans for them, they should be able to, continue, and they will, because that's our plan. But for now, we're going to stay owner, but we are always interested in hearing from people, hearing their ideas. We've tried to reach out to as many community groups as we can, but I know there's more out there.
Right.
So I'm hoping, being on a show like this, getting the word out, that we'll keep meeting new people.
People will know they can contact you in person.
Yeah.
Which would be great.
It would be great. It would be great.
What other great ideas do you have for moving forward?
Well, right now it's the recreation piece is a big part of it. That is like our main focus. I think strengthening and looking at what VYCC is doing. I think thinking about other ways to improve the property during our ownership. That's something that we've been thinking a lot about.
But at a real practical level, those of us who live in Newport, what can we do on the farm this winter?
Oh, great. Oh, yes. I didn't even talk. Thank you. I didn't even talk about what I'm
are we
very
gonna
excited
do?
about right now. So, we've been talking to Men for Magog Ski Touring Foundation since the Land Trust purchased the property about whether the property could become available for cross-country skiing. And this winter it is, and we're so excited about it. A groomer was donated to the organization, and they were able to make it work to both plow a small parking area at the farm, but also groom a trail through the property for members of Men for Magog Ski, MSTF, right, thank you.
Yeah.
And the trail's laid out, they've groomed it, they've plowed the parking lot, so we're really excited about that. And the thought was, it's not following the future rec trail path right now because it doesn't really go anywhere, because there's no way to get across to Prouty Beach. But eventually, the idea is to have it become part of what they already grew with the BB Spur Rail Trail and their trail network.
And the ski trail isn't going to interfere with potential agricultural land, because sometimes we can sort of push it down and it doesn't do it any good. Right.
So this winter it's crossing the ag land, especially the front field along Bluff Road. But in the future, following what's already the disturbed rec path that was going to come out of agriculture should really minimize the impact.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Last year, some of us skied a little further up. We went into the field opposite Paddock Lane and skied there. Great. Is that still available? So
the property is completely open to public access. So I'm glad, we're talking about this. The property is open to public access. During the farming season, we ask people to stay off the ag fields because you really can't impact hay.
Yeah.
But there's a farm road, there's some existing paths.
Yeah.
One of our goals this winter is to get a better map, because one of the questions we get, especially from people who have never been there, is where can I walk? And so we hope to get that up on our website and find ways to distribute it so people have a better idea of where they can walk. In the winter, you're really not disturbing anything. And so we're fine with people walking anywhere. The other thing about the summer is that the bald eagles do require a buffer.
A little privacy.
They want some privacy. And so we've worked with the Vermont Department of Fish and Wildlife to, and they come and they sign an area where the public needs to stay out. Well, everyone needs to stay out during the nesting season. And once they fledge their young, they take the signs down and it's fine.
Speaking of signs, one of the things, and I live locally, one of the things that we see is dogs running loose there, sometimes chasing deer, which is really not okay. Is there
are some public access rules.
Yeah.
We do have a sign at the parking area, which is by the Sugar House, which is right off Bluff Road, and it does list the rules. They're pretty basic. Leash your dogs, pick up after your dogs, pick up trash you see. Help us take care of this place. Don't be there after dark, dawn to dusk. It's sort of like a public park kind of.
Common sense.
Yeah, right. So, and we really look to the neighbors and users of the property to help us and help educate people about the rules, help us know if there are problems, help us know if there's something that needs to be fixed or a problem out there. And people have been great. We hear from neighbors and community members, and we welcome that.
One of the other questions I've heard has been about snowmobiles.
Snowmobiles.
Yes.
So right now we do have the property signed for that we no motorized access.
Good.
So if we heard from a local vast club that crossing the farm was really important from a connection standpoint, then I think we'd look at how to do that. But having people just snowmobile across the property, I think now that there's a ski trail, there could be conflict issues. There's fencing in some places, so we really do not want people doing that. But I have
You've seen
folks,
the marks, you know they
yeah,
come.
I have, and if there's a need, I think we're open to talking about it, but we want it to be planned out.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people are not hostile towards snowmobiles. It's just that they prefer them not flying up and down.
Right. So and that's why we think, well, if there is a need and that this would help access an area, then we don't want to be a barrier to that at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also allowed hunting on the property the last 2 years. Previously, the property had been posted from hunting. There is a big deer herd, you already mentioned.
Yes, I've met them.
It's a big deer herd, and it really is outsized for the property.
Yeah.
And we worked with Vermont Fish and Wildlife. Again, they've been great partners, and the local warden, to really make a plan, knowing that there's so many other uses of the property. There's a lot of people who walk on the property. It is in a neighborhood, so we want to be safe. In the city limits, you can bow hunt.
Yes.
So we developed a lottery system to try to manage the number of hunters out there, where they were hunting, and make sure that we knew who they were and that they knew all the rules.
Right.
And the first year, so in 2016, we allowed 3 hunters. In 2017, we expanded that to 6, and we expanded the season. And we feel like it went well. We heard from people both who were excited about this opportunity.
Right.
We heard from a lot of people who were excited about the opportunity. We also heard from people who were concerned about it, and we listened. And so we tried to think about, we didn't do the whole hunting season. We tried to find a balance, and we continue to try to find a balance kind of in everything there.
I didn't hear any uproar about it, so
well,
that's
good
sort
to
of
hear.
Encouraging. Yeah, and I'm not the biggest personal fan of hunting.
Yep.
But I understand that those who like to hunt, and if meat is eaten, why not?
Right. And from an ecological standpoint, it actually is better for the farm because the deer herd is quite large for where for the land it's on and the neighborhood it's in.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else?
What else? We talked about North Country High School. I talked about Magog Watershed Association, Ski Touring Foundation, VYCC, continued agriculture. I think it's really expanding those partnerships is the goal. Keeping the land productive, keeping it in production, and kind of seeing what continues to evolve in terms of community interest in the property, ideas for how to use the property, and listening and learning. We attended the Vermont Council on Rural Development visioning sessions, and we'll plan to continue to listen and hear if there's ideas that really connect with the farm. If we can help make that happen, we're really excited. And so that's something that we're watching and looking at. We hope this coming summer, as we continue to fundraise for the Rec Path, to do some celebrations out there related to that. It's going to be the 20th anniversary of the rail trail this summer, and the 100th anniversary of Newport. So it feels like there's some cool things we could do on the farm in celebration.
There could be some great music up there.
Exactly.
And there's a barn if it rains.
Right, exactly. It could be really fun. So we're thinking about that. Oh, the other thing we're doing is we had an invasive species management plan drafted up, and
because you've certainly got them.
We have them, and we want to start doing some actual management. And so we have an AmeriCorps member who's working for Vermont Land Trust this year, and she's going to organize both some invasive species learning days. We did one last summer. Do more of those, and some potential community opportunities to help us
rip out
exactly, and maybe doing some partnerships with the school as well.
Yeah, particularly the forestry kids. You'd think they would be really into it.
Yeah, and we're also talking with Men for Magog Watershed Association about doing more educational programming out on the farm with them. There could be some really interesting things we can do on the waterfront and learning. We've also made the farm available to some of the area summer camps for some brief campouts and things like that, to try, and that it's been used for that, so we look forward to more of that.
Are Sterling or UVM interested in doing anything there?
We haven't had any direct interest from them. Northwood Stewardship Center has been interested and in both helping with some management, but also some campers, and we kind of just continue to. I mean, one goal is just to make sure everyone knows about this opportunity. I sometimes am amazed. I feel like I talk about it all day, but I don't always. So being on a show like this, other opportunities, is, I think, a great opportunity for us to make sure that as many people know about it, give ideas, come to us with ideas.
And one of the reasons for really trying to get you to come on this show was because there was so much misinformation or just no information. People are curious. And
which
it's all positive
and are always happy
energy.
to answer the questions. And so it's good feedback to hear that maybe we haven't gotten the word out as well as we could. So it's definitely a goal.
It's hard to know how to get the word out.
Exactly.
I mean, it's really sort of got to be a multimedia, multi-pronged.
Yeah.
And probably the best way is having people involved on the farm and then going back and telling all their friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
I went skiing there. I rode my bike there. Oh,
Yeah.
I swam off the beach.
Right, and the beach is available to walk on, and it's really pretty amazing.
Yes.
The other thing about Bluffside Farm is it's really the view you look at from downtown Newport. That wooded bluff is really what Newport City looks at.
Exactly.
And so when you're on the bluff, you're looking at Newport, and it's a great perspective on on the city and the downtown.
Yeah, it's such an asset, and I'm so glad it's available to us as a community.
Great.
And the potential that's
the potential
there
is great.
Is incredible.
Is great. Yeah, and one of the things we talked about, and I think we might show as part of this show, is some of the maps and we had an artist drawing of what would a bridge connecting Prouty Beach to Bluffside Farm look like, and if you could walk across that bridge and then have a mile of beach to walk on, which is otherwise hard to access because it's very far deep into the property. There's no road that goes there really. There's walking paths. So
it also depends on the level of the lake, whether it's a mile or not.
It does. That's true. Right now the water's high enough. It's a mile of ice.
There was so much rain last year. It was a long time before there was any beach.
It was. It does vary. So we've thought about that in terms of some of the paths and how to have paths that then allow you to walk to the far end, which does tend to stay open to some degree, even at high water.
And hopefully as we expand other opportunities to do with the lake, I mean, there's a new maritime organization, a whole bunch of other groups. It can all connect.
Well, and
we
that's
all benefit.
And it's been interesting working in Newport the last few years and really seeing the EB5 scandal was horrible, and but I've seen people really kind of thinking, okay, what do we have to celebrate here, and how can we capitalize on that? And Newport sits on an amazing lake. And I keep hearing about new ideas to better use that lake to benefit locals and also to draw in investment to the downtown, draw in tourists. I never made it to a Wednesdays on the waterfront, but I just kept hearing about how great they were and that more and more people came. The path that is going in front of Waterfront Plaza, better connects the downtown across, and we're really excited about continuing that then through Bluffside Farm.
And it makes it so pleasant for people to be down there and just sit there and have a coffee or whatever.
And then Maritime? Yes. Community Maritime. We've talked with them about the opportunities for educational programming that could connect to the farm. So I think that these kinds of ideas will keep coming, and we're excited to be part of them. And eventually, we don't expect to be owners, but I feel like that's a ways out, and we're moving at a slow pace to make sure that we don't miss an opportunity. But
meanwhile, we can enjoy what's there. I plan on being out there skiing, hopefully this weekend.
I plan to be out there skiing too. Maybe not this weekend, but soon. Very excited about it. And there's great snowshoeing and. Skiing, you asked, skiing off the trail is totally fine. This was just an opportunity to have, some really good skiing, well-groomed trails.
I saw the grooming as I came past there, so I thought, very nice. And on that note, we have to stop. This goes really fast. In another few months, would you be willing to come back?
Yes, I definitely would. This was a great experience, and it's a great way to help get the word out. So thank you for inviting us.
You're welcome, and thank you for coming.
You're welcome.